My favorite season of reading ever is January because that is when all of my favorite books of the previous year come out. And as someone who reads books voraciously to try to find favorites, it's so nice to just watch everyone else's research from their entire year of what is the best book to spend my time reading. And I wanted to spend this video reading all those books and seeing what the virality and the hype was about. Starting off with Babel by R.F. Kuang. This is a historical fiction fantasy book and she tackles the topic of colonization. Last night I started Babel by R.F. Kuang. The official title is actually Babel, or the Necessity of Violence, an Arcane History of the Oxford Translators' Revolution. This one's intimidating, I'm not gonna lie. It is thick, I think it's 500 pages, and I can already just tell that her writing is so good, and it's one of those writing styles that is like, it's gonna give me an experience. I'm gonna have to read it a bit slower. It's gonna be dense. She's gonna say a lot, and I know it's gonna be good. I feel like I just feel like she's a really good author. I just haven't read anything by her yet. I got about 22 pages in. So at this rate, I'm not gonna finish it anytime soon. Oh hi! I'm currently sick at home now and it is such a long time later. And I have something to admit to you guys. I only got 29 pages into Babel. Do I have so much faith that it's going to be an amazing book? Yes, but it is a little bit slow to get into and I was already in a little bit of a reading slump, so it was a little bit of a difficult choice for me. So then I downloaded Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow by Gabrielle Zevin on my Kindle because it is just sold out everywhere because that's how popular it was. And I read one chapter and it was also slow to get into, but going to be a great book, I'm assuming, because it's one of the most popular of 2022. So that's the update. I'm like literally one chapter into each book, but I've been sick at home, so I need to use this time to actually read. But I've been playing chess more than reading. So my hobbies are fighting each other right now. Yeah, we'll see which one I pick up today. I'll update you when I actually start reading something. Following the order that I read these books, after reading 20 pages of Babel, I started Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow by Gabrielle Zevin. This is just a general fiction book, which I really don't read much of, but after this video, I think I might start. This one is a past-present timeline where we follow Sam and Sadie, which are video game creators. We follow them from when they're kids all the way up until their late 30s, as well as even some of their parents' backstories, and their very strange relationship as they clearly love each other but are never in a relationship. I am 41% into Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow. I decided it's the one that I would get into faster than Babel, because previously I think I told you I got one chapter into both. And yeah, actually this one did start picking up pretty quickly after I continued on a little bit, and we're following Sadie while she's in the hospital with her sister who has leukemia. She goes to the game room to just play some video games while she's at the hospital, and she meets this boy there named Sam, and they start talking about video games a little bit. It's nice and fun. She doesn't think much of it. She goes home, and then the nurse talks to Sadie's mom and is like, was Sadie talking to that boy Sam in there? And it turns out this kid Sam was refusing to talk to anyone, and Sadie was the first person that he spoke to. So that was very interesting immediately. And then we follow them in the present timeline when Sadie is at school and she's trying to build video games as a profession, and she has this like crazy strict professor, and it's very interesting, and she starts dating her professor, and that relationship is very interesting to read about. And it's just so wild that I'm only 40% of the way through the book because it feels like I've read an entire book already. I have no idea where the story is leading. I don't even really know the overarching themes of the story, but I do know that I love Sadie and Sam. Sam is half Korean, which is really fun to read about, half Asian character. I feel like have I ever read about it? I don't know, but I never thought reading about characters creating video games together would be so interesting. But here we are. The writing is fantastic. Okay, oh wow, I'm 65% of the way through Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow now, and I had to make a Notion page and write down my thoughts because I love it so far. People keep telling me that they think this book is sad, which I guess I haven't watched enough reviews, but I didn't know that. So that's scary. I don't know where the book is headed, but I wrote down some things. I feel like most of all, the thing that this book is so good at is describing human emotions in a way that is so vivid. Like I've already said, they just feel like real people. Her writing is just, it's one of the, like if I was an author, I would be so envious of her writing style. It's just so smart. And there's this random part where Sam is in his car and he hits what he thinks is a coyote, and he takes it to the vet, and it's not a coyote, it's a dog. And he adopts this dog. And every time he takes it on a walk, people think it's a coyote. And he's like, it's not a coyote. It's not even half coyote. And one day he's at the dog park and some woman in LA screams that there's a coyote attacking all of the dogs and to pick up your dogs and run. So he picks up his dog and he starts running because he thinks there's a coyote. And then the lady like sees his dog up close and is like, oh, that's not a coyote, that's a dog. Oh, I'm so silly, but don't you think it was smart of me to warn everyone just in case? And he gets so angry, and there's some quote that I underlined that I need to look up and put it on the screen, but he was so angry that this woman hadn't just taken a closer look and seen that it was clearly just a dog, not a coyote. It was so infuriating that this woman was just allowed to have this basic view of the world, is the quote. I'm very excited to read the reviews because I feel like there's something so insane that is put in this book, and I'm not even smart enough to really be able to put into words what it is, but I can feel it, if that makes sense. So good. Yeah, those are my thoughts so far. I'm gonna see if it's sad. I am very in love with the book now. It feels like an actual immersive world that throughout my day when I'm not reading, I get excited to pick it back up and go into this world. So that's a great sign, because that's kind of the point of reading. Here we go. I hope it's not too sad. Well, I finished it. I also just finished playing Ultimate Frisbee. So no aesthetic judgments, please. Especially on the hair. I also got a physical copy, as you can see. After reading the book, the cover is so much prettier to me. Look at the waves. They may or may not be part of the video game that they build. This is just the coolest cover. I want the holographic one, but even getting this one was so difficult. Oh, guys. My review of this freaking book. Honestly, I can't imagine reading it physically. It must have probably felt so long. Reading it on Kindle kind of makes you lose your sense of like how big a book is. And this is only like, it's less than 500 pages, but it feels 1,000 pages long because of how much information we get about everyone. I've given it some time, and I'm gonna give this book a 5 out of 5 stars. I'm obsessed with it. Right after filming that previous clip, the saddest scene ever happened in the book. Maybe search up trigger warnings, because I read that right before bed. And I just wasn't, it's so unexpected. It was so shocking and so jarring and obviously so tragic. It's so sad, but this book is so good. It's a 5 out of 5 star read for me. Hello there. A few days later now. This video has taken me so long that I don't even remember the last time I've updated you. I don't even really remember telling you that I had started Babel other than when I had originally started it. But then I took a break and read Tomorrow, and then I came back to this. No, I did say that, didn't I? Okay. Well, anywho, I am now on page 278. There are 540 pages, I believe, so we're halfway through. This is a very dense read. Her writing is very good. She is clearly a talented author. So we're following this boy named Robin. He's from China, and the city that he lives in has a plague sweeping through it, and it kills his mother. And right after his mom dies, this white man comes with silver, because in this fantasy world, silver is the magic system, and silver bars can like make trains run faster. It can heal sicknesses, stuff like that. So this white man comes with a silver bar, cures Robin of whatever the plague was, and then it brings him to America and starts training him in all sorts of languages so that he can one day be admitted to Oxford University. And then you're following him as he actually goes to Oxford University, and they continue the study of languages, because in order for the silver bars to work, you have to be proficient in multiple languages. The magic system in this book is like the most unique thing I've ever read. I don't understand how her imagination thought of this, and I can barely even describe it to you because that's how smart it is that it's just difficult to describe. But they have to be so proficient in languages they can actually dream in them, so that they can like say a word in one language on one side and another language on the other side. And that's how the magic system works in the silver bars. So yeah, it's such a unique and just clever way to describe colonization in a fantasy world with the craziest magic system of all time. It's one of the most impressive books I have ever read, but it is also very slow. But I feel like it is a book that you should just read slowly and digest, because it's saying a lot, you know? So I'm halfway through, been reading it for like definitely over a week. I'm gonna keep getting through it. This may be a hardback, but I have broken in the spine a lot and I tore it a little bit because I put it in a backpack every day. But I am now, you can see the progress on page 379. Dang, I am almost done. It's weird because it feels like it's such a slow read for me, but then I'll realize I just read about 20 pages at a time, multiple times throughout the day, and then at the end of the day, I've read like 100 pages, and it's really quite fast actually, because I feel like she goes in between some really slow description scenes where I think I'm about to get bored, so I don't read, but it's right before something really fun and action-packed is gonna happen, and then it's action-packed for a few pages and I fly through that, and then she gets a little bit more descriptive, talking about languages or about history. I have a really bad habit of, if there's a word that I feel like I wouldn't be able to pronounce, my eyes kind of skim over it, and then my eyes are skimming a little bit, and then I get bored because I've skimmed and then I don't know what's happening. So that's kind of the issue, and I need to just slow down and actually try to really pronounce the words in my brain. I am now on page 475, less than 100 pages to go, and it is so action-packed now. And I feel like this is gonna be part of my review of the book, is that I don't know, I think it's such an amazing book, but the pacing is gonna keep so many people from reading it because it just starts off so slow. And I wasn't even expecting this book to ever get action-packed because that's just not the vibe it gives off from the beginning and how slow it is. And then it's like I mean, I knew it was fantasy, but it's like, you know, fantasy action scenes. Nothing like all that magical though, because the only real fantasy element is that silver is the thing that like makes the entire world run. So it's just very political over the fight for silver. It's not like action scenes where they're flying in the air and shooting fire out of their hands or anything like that. It's just like protest and war and scheming and stuff like that. I'm gonna finish this book today and it'll be such an accomplishment. Also look, I finally caved and bought one of these Stanleys. I feel way too suburban and preppy and mom like, hey, they're so good. This has a good ending. This could be so tragic or this could be so epic. Whew. For the last book, I saw this thing everywhere except for actually on my phone. I saw it every time I went to Barnes & Noble. I saw that it had awards, but I never actually heard people talking about it really. And that is Lessons in Chemistry by Bonnie Garmis. This is a historical fiction, which I actively avoid because it just sounds boring. But this one actually sounded super fun. I've been listening to the audiobook of Lessons in Chemistry by Bonnie Garmis whilst reading Babel. The audiobook is so good. The narrator is the reason I actually chose the book. And then I also was like, oh, this is actually one of the most popular books of the year. We're in the 1960s and she is a chemist. It is one heck of a story, I'll tell you that. I'm now on page 260. It's actually quite easy to read and you just kind of fly through it because it's so funny and almost addictive to read. Well, hello guys. I'm in my aesthetic thumbnail location, which I thought would be the perfect place to conclude this video. Are the 3 books that were some of the most popular of 2022 worth the hype? I will first off say that I understand why all these books have hype. If I were to guess which ones I would like the most, I probably would have said I would like Babel the most, and then Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow, and Lessons in Chemistry last. But the real rating was that this one was a perfect 5 out of 5 stars. I absolutely love it. Then this one, I'm gonna give 4 stars. It was so funny. I really enjoyed this book and the characters, and for historical fiction, so shocking, and I think I love general fiction now, which I would have never thought I would have said, but books like these just break the boundaries of what I expect books marketed like this to be like. And then I liked Babel the least, and I am scared to put like a star rating on it because I feel like it doesn't really do the book justice, because I understand that this book went so viral because of what a big undertaking this was. Her goal in making this book was just so lofty, and I love how smart it was and the messaging, but I do think the execution could have been done a little bit differently because it did kind of give textbook vibes at times, and the beginning was so slow that I think it'll just keep so many people from reading it. I usually rate books based off of their entertainment value to me, instead of like, I feel like you'd have to rate this one based off of how much you learn. So based off of entertainment and pacing, I would give it a 3 stars because that's just how I normally rate books. Impressiveness, 5 stars. So it's just kind of a different reading experience than I usually go for, if that makes sense. But overall, I thoroughly enjoyed reading these books, and I'm so glad that this video made me read books out of my comfort zone, because then I would have never known how much I loved these 2 books, which are just general fiction, which is crazy for me. So yeah, I think I'm gonna be reading a lot of different genres this year because it seems like I always enjoy books that I would never think that I would like. So I already started a new reading vlog on my vlog channel, so go check out that channel if you're not subscribed over there. And I'm also gonna try to post little fashion-y plus book type content on my Instagram. And then I also have TikTok, which I pop onto sometimes. So I'll see you guys somewhere else on the internet. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I'm gonna leave now.